Hello everybody, welcome back. This is going to be another guide for League of Legends. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today I'm going to be talking about why it's so difficult to climb in Season 7, at least from my experience. So I'll just preface this by saying that I ended Season 6 as Diamond 5, but I'm currently only High Gold. I'm almost in my promos for Gold 1 in Season 7 with about 350 games and a 46% win rate overall. It's sad. But why is this? Why does this happen? I've been playing the game since Season 1, and I've got to tell you, this is the most confusing season I have ever seen in League of Legends. Just for context, last season, I ended Season 4, or I ended Season 5, and Platinum 4. I had to prepare for some major exams and all this kind of stuff. I didn't play a lot in that year. But I ended in Platinum 4, and I got placed in Season 6 at Silver 2. After about 1 month of play, I played a little bit less than I do these days because I didn't have the channel for the first half of the Season 6 area. I went from Silver 2, I got placed from Platinum 4 in Silver 2, and I went to Platinum 1 in about 200 games playing only support, mostly Janna in those games, right? So I played mostly Janna and went from Silver 2 to Platinum 1 in about 200 games. But now I ended last season in Diamond 5. I went 6-4 in my promos. I got placed into Gold 2. I've been as high as Platinum 4. And now I'm back down to about Gold 1 at the time of this video. After about 350 games, I play a lot because I stream a lot right now and it's winter break. And it looks like my cat wants to get on my lap. Let me see if she will come over. Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay, it's okay. Come on. Sorry about that. She barges in here sometimes. She's a bit older. And, oh God. She's about to fall. Here, just come here. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. But we'll keep rolling with it. So I've been to this rodeo before. I've been, for ever since Season 3, I was Platinum. I ended the season's Platinum, and last season I ended Diamond. So I've been to the rodeo before, and it's just particularly just very confusing, like why this is happening. So that's why I'm making this video. I've thought a lot about it over time. So here's my op.gg if you want to just see sort of what's going on. So currently Gold 2, 58 OP. I just lost the promotions before this, so hopefully we'll get back in there. My MMR is absolutely shot, and this happened last season too, and it never happened in previous seasons, but, I was, even when I was Platinum 4 this season, I was getting matched against Silver players. So my MMR is completely in the gutter, and it was at the start of last season too, and I had to work to overcome it. But then you can see, and just look at these numbers. This is sad. Like, this is so ridiculous. Like, the vast majority of these supports that I play a lot are, under 50%. Some of them really far under 50%. I'm Malzahar. I've been playing him a lot recently. 100 games of Malzahar, 44%. I'm a Diamond player playing against Silvers and Gold. So what is this? Like, why is that happening? The only things that are positive are Zyra is way up, and I'll talk about why that is here soon. I just started playing her a lot last stream, and you can see the results there. But Zyra's way up, and Janna's still pretty far up. So we'll talk about why. But that's just what I'm investigating. And by comparison, here's my Season 6, right? So, the vast majority of the supports that I played a ton were all over 50% by a pretty decent old margin. Some of them were much higher earlier in the season, but anyways, it was much, much better. Okay, so why is this? Why is this? So that's what the video is all about. So I'm going to talk about, I think I have 5 things that I think are changing in this season that are different from past seasons, and then what you can actually do with it to help you win games overall, and then also win games particularly in lower elo. So I think a major problem that I've had this season is I wasn't taking these things into consideration, and I just wasn't accepting the reality that I'm playing in lower elo right now. Like, that's it. You just cannot play you can't play like it's a Diamond game when it's a Silver game. It's just very, very different. So I'm just coming to some of these realizations, and I just wanted to share some of these insights with you as I hopefully turn it around. And I'll get back up there. I always do. It's just been particularly flustering this season, and so we'll go into why. Okay, so what's up this season? What's different? What's going on? And what can you do about it? Okay, so number one, the shift from dynamic queue to solo queue. So once again, I want to emphasize these aren't excuses. It's my play has not reflected these realities. Like, I have not adjusted to these realities. So I'm not saying, oh, all these reasons are my fault. I'm saying this has changed the way the game is played and the way you should understand the game. And then I've got some active positive solutions that I think can work for me. So it's not just a rage, video. It's not a rant video. It's a critical thinking video where I'm trying to be honest with myself and hopefully honest with you to provide some insights into things, because I know a lot of people have been flustered by this season. I have all kinds of people saying, oh my gosh, I'm so much lower than I was last season. Why is that? What's going on? Well, here's what I think is going on. All right, so first up, the shift from dynamic queue to solo queue. This cannot be understated. This is a massive, massive shift for a lot of people. So why is that important, and why is that often overlooked in how people are analyzing this season? So when it was dynamic queue, people could queue up with a bunch of their friends and gain a lot of elo. So that's the easiest, most obvious thing, right? And now that they can't play with their friends, then they're not gaining as much elo. So this could be strictly from, if you just want to look at it from a skill point of view, maybe some of these people got carried by their friends up there. But I think up to wherever there is, a higher elo than they would normally get in solo queue. But I think there's a lot more to it than that as well. When people play with their friends, often, now this isn't always the case, but often they tilt much less because they want to win the game for their friends, right? So they want to keep it under control. Their friends are talking them down and they're trying to win. Whereas when you solo queue and you just have that one person on your team that keeps raging at you and blaming you for everything, you don't care about that person. You don't care if they win. You don't care if they lose. And sometimes people will actively, I care. I always want to win. I always think of other people, but I'm just putting myself in the mind of a tilter. You're not going to care as much. When it's your friends, you care. You want to win. Even when you're having a bad game, they're not going to rage at you as much, and you're going to be a lot more likely to stay in the game and try your hardest. So that's one thing, is when it's dynamic queue, when you're with your friends, the psychology, the morale is much higher. The second one is, people just may have been carried to a higher elo by playing with their friends, or maybe they have particularly good synergy with their friends. For example, when I played some dynamic queue with this Master Yi player, and I was Jana's extremely good with his Master Yi because I could get him out of a lot of tough situations, and the extra AD from Jana's shield scaled very well with Master Yi. And Jana was very good against Master Yi, so that took away a good defensive pick. So I just had really, really good synergy with that Master Yi player at the end of last season that I played a lot with. So it's not necessarily just that people got carried, but it improves the psychology, and there are certain synergies between champions, between personalities, between players that come out much better in dynamic queue than they do in solo queue. So once that got reset, there's a lot of mismatched games at the beginning of the season. Just a lot of people who no longer had that psychology safety blanket there, who are raging a lot more now, people who are playing against tougher opponents than they're used to, and they don't have their allies to back them up. They don't have the synergies that they're used to, on top of all the new items and different dynamics and buffs and nerfs during the preseason. So, the beginning of the season is always kind of turbulent as people are figuring out the meta and figuring out what they want to do. But this has been particularly turbulent because of the shift from dynamic to solo. Another major factor here is the introduction of the autofill system to lower queue times, because now they have dynamic and solo queue. So they introduce autofill to try to get faster queue times. But what this does is it forces players into unfamiliar roles. Now, back in the day, before the dynamic queue and the new champion select, you just had the top-down pick order, and you just tried to call your role, and whatever needed to be played, that's what you had to play. So people were used to at least having some level of competence in every role, because you might just have to play that role. Now, often, you wouldn't, right? Now, often people would give you one of your two favorite roles, but you had some familiarity with every role if you wanted to climb, because you just might get placed in that role. But now, they've had dynamic queue for a whole year, so they only had 2 roles they had to sign up for, and there was no such thing as autofill with just dynamic queue. And so they just mastered 2 roles for a whole year, and now all of a sudden they're being thrown in to play roles they haven't played in a very long time. And should they, have some competence in every role? Of course. But will they? No, because they're not used to it. And the fact they sign up for those 2 roles, they just get really mad if they don't get them as well, if they get autofilled. So autofill creates poor matchups, uneven games, lots of extra variance, and it hurts people's psychology. They get really frustrated and upset if they get autofilled. And this compounds with the fact they're going to underperform in the role because they haven't practiced it. So autofill is a terrible idea. I really, really wish Riot would fix it. I mean, I think the vast majority of the population would rather wait for 1 minute on a queue and get one of the 2 roles they signed up for. But I don't know if they're going to do that or not. They're probably not going to change it. So now you don't have to worry about that as support, right? You always get one of your 2 roles as support. But for every other role, that's why you just see, sometimes someone who's a poppy top just get completely shattered by, I don't know, like a Darius or something, top lane, because they don't know the matchup. They never play top. That's why they go 0-7. It's not necessarily that they're always bad players. They just never play that role sometimes. So now they might just be underperforming for other reasons, but autofill is a major, major culprit behind a lot of these imbalances. Because if you have someone that has 3,000 games in mid lane and you have them against somebody that has 5 games in mid lane, there's obviously going to be some problems there. So this is creating a lot of extra turbulence early on, and it's frustrating people. It's really demoralizing them on a bunch of different levels. And so that's why people are a lot more cranky in solo queue. I think that's one major reason why there's a lot more toxicity in solo queue, and that's why there's just a lot more variance. That's why some games feel like, wow, that was good, evenly matched game, and you play the next game, and it's just completely way off, just a stomp one way or another. And a lot of it is because of these reasons. So that's one thing to keep in mind there. Number 2, okay, the popularization of 1v1 culture. Now, like I said, I've been around for a while. I've been playing video games for a very long time, and I've been playing League since Season 1. And I tell you right now, this season of League has got to be the most toxic, like, self-entitled players that I've ever seen. Now, there are still lots of great players out there who are great, fun, awesome. I'm not saying the entire League community is bad, but I think that if you've played the game for a long time, then you've noticed, I think, at least I have, over the last year, and particularly at the start of this season, there's a lot more toxicity. And like I said, last season, I've played in Silver before. I got placed into Silver 2 last season and worked my way up to Diamond. And right now, it is way, way more toxic around the board than I've ever seen it before. So what is this? Part of it's what I just described up here, but another part is this popularization of 1v1 culture. So there's been a lot of streamers and Riot All-Star games even like legitimize this. 1v1 as a format for displaying skill. So if you're a good player, you can 1v1 and beat other people. That's what it's all about. The ultimate showdown, right, is 1v1. That's the true skill. So it's fun to watch, and I watch it, of course, just like everybody else. So I'm not trying to be a hypocrite here. But it creates a very toxic playstyle. It creates a very toxic mentality, because then people think that you win games of solo queue by 1v1, and if for some reason you don't win 1v1, then you're a bad player or you're a bad person. Or if someone interrupts your 1v1, if there's a jungler involved somewhere, then it's not fair. If you want a 1v1 top lane and you're Riven versus Yasuo, and then that stupid Lee Sin comes up there and ganks you, well, that's cowardly. That's not fair. And then you just cry at your jungler, and then your jungler doesn't come, and then it's done because you're like, what, this is supposed to be a 1v1. And I keep getting camped. I'm out of here. This is stupid, because you feel entitled to that 1v1. People feel like, oh, I'm here in this lane. I deserve this 1v1. I picked a 1v1 champion. Or if you're a Riven, for example, and you take Ignite top, and you're against a Maokai who takes Teleport top lane, and Maokai teleports bottom and gets 3 kills off of that and a dragon, and then you rage at your team, well, why did y'all die? Y'all are so stupid down here. That type of thing. So it's created a very toxic sense of entitlement, and it's really discouraging team play. Now, like I said, it's fun to watch, but people just don't think critically about it like I do, and they get into their mentality. They think, ooh, that looks really cool, that looks really flashy, I should 1v1. And it's making people play things also like Riven, Yasuo, and a bunch of other types of champions that are really good at 1v1 that have very high skill caps. And so people get very frustrated when they don't know how to auto-attack cancel Riven and they lose a lot. Or with Yasuo, they just are too aggressive and they get caught out and ganked a lot. There have been more Riven and Yasuo players than I've ever seen. Like, ever. In all seasons combined this season. And I think a lot of it has to do with this popularization of the 1v1 culture. And it's just really bad because people get so frustrated on these high skill cap champions. Lee Sin's another one that's very similar to that. Because they just don't know how to play them correctly. They're very, very hard to play correctly. And even when you do, there are champions that are much easier to play that are much more powerful for the vast majority of the population. So if you have someone who's like an okay Riven player against someone who's an okay Poppy player top lane, that Poppy player is going to be much, much more impactful in the game. So is Maokai. Like you really, really have to overperform as Yasuo and Riven. And so I think that's created a lot of toxicity too. And it has encouraged sort of this split push style, which tries to seek out 1v1s or chasing kills that seeks out these 1v1s, right? So just all of these anti-team play type of things. And this mentality of, well, I'm an all-star, I've got this 1v1 champion, I'm really awesome, and I have to carry all these idiot teammates by split pushing or chasing down these kills. Like, I have to get fed, I have to get 10 kills or we're going to lose this game. That type of mentality. And so that's created a lot of problems. So 1v1 culture also promotes the false belief that individual player must carry bad teammates, what I just mentioned, in order to win, which reinforces an ineffective style of play. The best teams, the teams that win, are the teams that stay together, the teams that try to stay positive, communicate well, and get objectives. They get stuff done. That's true of life. That's true of anything, right? Like the best companies, the best sports teams, all of these, it's because it's a team. They work well as a unit. Like, they might have an all-star or two, but they work well as a unit the vast majority of the time. And that's why they win. So that's created a lot of toxicity as well, the popularization of 1v1 culture. Okay, something else has changed this season that's made it a lot harder to climb. So these are both kind of psychological things, and psychology is a very, very big deal in League. And these have really, really hurt the psychology of the community at large in League. Okay, the power of junglers. This is another one. So this also hurts the psychology of people, and it just hurts the overall dynamic of the game. So the disproportionate power of junglers is creating toxicity because laners are losing agency. So that means that, bot laners are just starting to feel worthless, and that makes them want to troll or makes them want to rage a lot because they keep getting ganked bottom. And they can't do anything about it. They can't fight back. The vast majority of bot laners do not get any kind of power level until like 20 minutes or so. That's why Ziggs has become a popular bot laner, because at least he can do something, once he gets to level 6. So, and people are just sitting on it, and people just aren't adjusting. They have this 1v1 mentality. Bot lane's a little bit different, because obviously it's 2v2. But they have this mentality that they have to hit all of their CS, they have to get kills in lane, they have to, do all this stuff. Where, in fact, sorry, I had like some cat hair something on my nose there, I don't know. Where, in fact, the sign of a good bot lane in this current meta is don't die. So that's the biggest win that you can get. Make sure there's not like cat hair. No. Okay. Sorry, that's just really kind of bothered me for a little bit there. But it's not dying. So just watching for ganks and leaving. And a lot of ADCs just have a really hard time with this. They will not back off that wave. Like if there's a jungler in the area, they will just walk up and try to last hit that cannon minion, and they're going to die for it. And they get very frustrated at that because they're like, I can't even last hit this cannon minion because this jungler will not leave bottom lane. Or this mid laner keeps roaming down and killing me. And it's just very frustrating that they get bullied out all the time. So that hurts the psychology, and that also makes bot lane a lot less effectual because people are just sitting on it the whole time. And it makes it feel like all you're doing is just trying not to die rather than having an active role in the game to win. And I mean, Riot is addressing this. They are toning down the power of junglers, and I think they're going to boost the power of the AD carries here soon, I hope. But AD carries just feel like they can't play a fair game against other laners. Like, they just really aren't getting a 2v2 bottom. It's always a 4v2. And it's whichever team has the jungler that does that sits bottom, is almost always going to win the game. Often, even if they're less skilled. And the reason is, and I talk about this in my meta-analysis video, if you haven't watched that yet on the channel, it's because bottom has the most rewards by far. Dragons are real easy to get. First tower blood is a lot of gold, and towers are real easy to get with 3 people. So if you actually kill the 2 people bottom, you can use the jungler, the support, and the AD carry to take down a tower. Versus top lane, if you get a kill top, you'll only have 2 people to work on a tower. And there's no dragon, there's nothing else. And bot laners can't really fight back. And a lot of them don't have very good escapes. And it's a lot harder for them to ward now because of the way control wards work and the different gank paths with the new blast plants and things like that. So there's huge rewards to sit on bottom. Like, there's really no reason that a jungler should even go to the top part of the map unless it's just to clear camps. Like, they should just clear if they need to and then just sit on the bottom lane, and you will almost always win the game. So the constant aggression from junglers makes it much harder for supports to control the bot area with wards. And it also makes the mid lane more vulnerable as well because you can't ward for mid laners much. So the power of junglers is disproportionately making people lose agency, especially supports. And so that's what makes it seem like it's a lot harder to climb, because you don't have as much power to influence the game as you used to. You still have a lot of power, and I still love support, and I still play support. But the jungler is unequivocally the most important player by far on any team right now. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a lane be that proportionately powerful, like, ever. Even in the heyday of super powerful mids and even super powerful ADCs in seasons past, I've never seen a role like dominate this hard. If you have a weak jungler, it's extremely hard to win the game in the current meta. Okay, and that sort of fits into, like, it's a very, very imbalanced meta. Like, compositions matter so much right now. Like, there's a great diversity of champions. Someone brought this up on stream the other day, and I thought it was pretty funny. I said that, you know, there's, what did I say? There was, I don't remember exactly what I said, but his reply was, it's diverse. I said there's not a diverse meta, it's very imbalanced, I think. And he said, well, it's diverse, but it's imbalanced. And I think that's true. There's a lot of champions that seem like they're very viable right now in some respects, and it's because they've received all of these little buffs over time to these champions, such as Callista or such as Draven. But these champions still, like, are not even close to the power of people like Vayne, Twitch, Ziggs, Poppy, Malachi. All of these champions are so powerful. Like, if you put together a team that has, like, Hecarim, Poppy, Vayne on it, it is almost impossible to lose that game. Those champions are so much more powerful than other champions at the role. Like, there's just a very small handful of super powerful champions, and if your team doesn't get them, then it's going to be really hard to win. Now, there's always powerful picks, right? Like, there's always S-class picks in seasons past, but it feels like there are some champions that are just, like, supremely oppressive right now and very difficult to deal with. So, I don't know. I mean, that one, you know, that's kind of happens almost every season in every meta. There's always things that are really imbalanced, but right now, the frustration is people don't know what's imbalanced. So, like, usually people will recognize, oh my god, that thing really is powerful, and it'll have like a 70% ban rate or something. Like, I'm trying to think of something. There was, what was it last season? There was something early in the season that was like an 80% win rate. It might have been Rengar. I've seen Kassadin up that high before. Like, there's just been seasons past where people recognize what's strong and they pick it or they ban it. But right now, there's so many games where some of these champions just do not get banned. And I just feel like games are won and lost in champion select more than ever before. But it's kind of that way every season. I just feel like it's a little bit more this season, but that's not anything too new. That seems to happen almost every season. These things are different. The first 3 are different. This is just kind of something that's happened before. Okay, so for me personally, and I think for a lot of people as well, all of these create a lot of complications for winning, and it's important to adjust expectations to just say, you know what, this stuff is happening. They're gonna 4-person gank bottom. There's going to be someone that underperforms because they have to autofill, probably. in at least half of my games, if not more. You know, it's going to be frustrating that I don't have my team anymore and I have to play with these random strangers, and they're going to be frustrated too because they don't have their team anymore. They don't have their friends. They're getting autofilled. They're getting, you know, 4-person ganked bottom. It's just important to keep in mind that all of this is happening and just to adjust to the situation. So reassess your champion pool and think about your approach to the game in order to compensate for these things. Because you, especially if you got knocked into a lower elo and you haven't climbed back out yet. So if you're a gold and you got knocked into bronze, a lot of people get knocked like over a division, like a division and a half or something. I went 6-4, like I said, and I got knocked down from diamond 5 down to gold 2. So it's important to adjust your expectations. Okay, so I don't want this to be too long. Okay, this one's not that long. So what can you do? How can you win in this meta? So considering all these psychological changes and a super overpowered jungler and imbalance everywhere, like what can you do to actually win games? That's the important thing, because noticing problems is all good, but if you don't have solutions, it's not really that helpful. So here's some solutions, and I've mentioned some of these before, but these are things that I feel I've learned and really want to emphasize more here. Okay, so you need to shot call with authority. You need to be persistent. Like, do not, a single ping does not work. You need to tell people to do stuff. You don't need to say, be careful, somebody could be there. You need to say, get back, get out. Like, your team takes an inhibitor and there's still people just playing around trying to get that final kill. You need to ping back like 6 times. Get them out of that base. Like, do not let them stay there. You know, don't do it to the point where people are going to be super annoyed, but you have to be persistent. You can't just do it once. You have to really, really be persistent. And the main objective, the big objective, the number one way to lose a game is to split push or have someone on your team split push. Because I've talked about this in past videos. Split pushing is how you lose games. That's the number one way that you lose games. Because if you split push, you're counting on several things to go right. All of these are very difficult in solo queue. So number one, you're going to have good vision and good game knowledge and actually get out of there when they send 2 people at you to kill you. Is that going to happen? Maybe, maybe not. Most of the time, not. A lot of times, split pushers die. And second, your team has to actually have pressure somewhere else on the map. Sometimes that's not possible, and it's not your team's fault. So let me show you a map here. Okay, so how many times does this happen in games where all the tier 1 towers are down and you've got a split pusher up here, you've got these lanes pushed up, the enemy team's ahead, you've got the lane minions are like here and they're like right here, and you've got this Darius split pushing up to here with no vision, and then he gets caught out, dies, and says, team, what are you doing? There's 3 people top, and there's no dragon, there's no baron on the map. What are you supposed to do? I mean, there's, like, you can't push all the way up to this tier 2 in both of these places. So, you know, to split push, you have to recognize, oh, I can't actually split push right now because there's no pressure elsewhere on the map. So it's understanding game states, it's understanding pressure, and that's just really, really hard to do for most people. And second, you know, aside from just not dying and having appropriate pressure on the map, it's counting on your teammates to not fight. So how often can you tell your team, hey, don't fight, I'm going to split push right here, and then they have 5 people middle, and you have 4 people middle, and a fight breaks out. And then someone will say, oh, I didn't know that, you know, Malachi was going to flash engage on me, or I had no idea that, you know, whatever, Alistar was going to flash engage on me. People just don't know engage ranges, they don't know threat a lot of times in solo queue, and they will fight. Sometimes they just engage fights. I mean, near the end of last season, or maybe it was in this preseason, I can't remember, but when Zizirot Portal was still a viable item, people were kind of positioning around Baron. I cleared out all the vision. I had vision on everybody in here. Team was right here. I pinged back 3 times. I said, hold on 20 seconds. Let me go put a ZZ bot and we'll come back and bait Baron. I get to right here. Lee Sin engages in a 4v5. He doesn't get engaged on. He actually engages into a 4v5. And they all fight it and they all die. And then they're just like, what are you doing? Why are you bottom lane? So I was only gone for 20 seconds trying to put down a ZZ Rod. I wasn't even trying to split push a lot. It was literally just for 20 seconds. And they still started a fight. So you cannot count on your teammates to not fight. So you do not want to split. But not only do you not want to split, you need to stop people on your team from split pushing. That's the #1 goal. That is the key objective of the game, is to get people to group and stop splitting up. So how can you do this? I've been thinking just so much how to do this, because it happens in almost every game. There's always that one guy or girl that wants to split push and just keeps doing it no matter what. Doesn't matter if they have teleport or ignite or exhaust or whatever. They just keep wanting to split push. Okay, so the best option is to convince them to join your team. You need to tell them kills. Like I say, winning the game. I say, come help me bait Baron, we'll win the game. People aren't interested in that. Just say, come help me bait Baron, and I will get you a pentakill. Just tell them that. And then they'll be like, oh, a pentakill, really? And then they'll leave the bottom lane and come over here and actually maybe group with you for the Baron, if you promise them kills. Like, don't say you're going to win the game. Tell them that you're going to give them kills. And they might actually come up and help you out. So that's the best way, is get the person to quit splitting and actually join up with you. That, easier said than done sometimes. Okay. Another way you can do it, if they refuse to group with you, this person keeps splitting down here, just go down there with them and group around them. Just do not let them split. Tell your team, okay, let's go down there and push with them. And if they want to go somewhere else, go push with them there. Do not let them split. Just stick on that person and push with them. I just don't let it happen. Whatever, if everybody's bottom and they get Baron, just get as many towers as you can, because I'll guarantee you that outcome is better than they split push, you try to get over here, they engage, kill 4 people, kill Baron, and you don't get a tower or anything in return. So, it sucks, but you cannot let someone split push. The final one, use them as bait. So this is one that I've tried some, but this is harder to set up. So if the person keeps split pushing here, you got your Darius over here. Send like 2 other people or everybody, and just come and like sit in this bush right here. And then when they send the 2 people to come up here and kill that Darius, if they think is split pushing, then you just pop out of the bush and kill them, and then you get the objective. So use them as bait. Now you have to have really good vision control. So you have to have the lanes pushed up to like here and here probably. Get really good vision control and just bait. That's a variation of the old... You don't even have to bait here. If you have vision of all this, just, you can like bait here, you can bait here, here, here. There's so many places you can catch someone out. But just try to cut off the path of people who are going to come up here and try to kill your split pusher. That can be useful as well. But, so that's the #1 shot calling challenge, is to stop the person from split pushing or try to use it in a productive way. Other shot calling, just remember that inhibitor is greater than Baron, and that's greater than tower, and that's greater than dragon. After 20 minutes, buffs do not matter. They just don't. Like, I see so many times where, and I really wish Riot, I say this every stream, I really wish they would just despawn the red and the blue buff at 25 minutes, because they're such noob traps. They really are. So how many times has your team been positioning for Baron over here, and your ADC's down here getting red buff, or your jungler's down here getting red buff, and then they engage on you and kill you or whatever. Or even in a good scenario where they don't engage on you, then all of a sudden they roll up as 5 people and they clear out all your vision here. And then all of a sudden you have to be the one that walks into darkness to figure that out. Or your team just got Baron, and then your ADC like has to come up here and farm a couple of waves to finish up their item, and then they come over here and they get red, and then they finally want to come over and team fight, and they've wasted a minute and a half of Baron. It's just terrible. Or you're trying to group up mid lane, and you know your mid laner just wants to go over and get blue buff instead. The buffs just don't matter. They just simply don't. After 20 minutes, it's much like, if the time when you would get a buff or something is, let's say that you got the inhibitor middle, and you know their red buff just happens to be up or something like that. You kill the inhibitor middle, then you go back, grab the red buff, and then back. if it's like 10 seconds, it's like you get it on the way back or something. It's just like on your way. You're positioning, like trying to set up for Elder Dragon. It's coming up in 30 seconds. There's nothing else you really want to do on the map anyways. Just get this. While your support's refilling their wards, just pick this up really quick in 15 seconds. Once the support gets here, go over here, help them ward. So it just needs to be, if you get the buffs, something that just happens to be on the way, but do not waste a lot of time trying to chase after those buffs. And as I've explained in past videos, Inhibitor is always better than Baron. If you have a choice, so let's say that you win a team fight right here at this tier 2. You get the second tier tower. You only have enough time to get Inhibitor or to get Baron. You get the Inhibitor. So number 1, Inhibitor can't be stolen. Baron can be stolen by Smite. Number 2, like Inhibitor doesn't really fight back like Baron can and get you weak so that they can roll up and kill you once they spawn in a team fight if you do it really slowly. And number 3, Inhibitor's just harder to get most of the time. Like trying to siege 5 people who are defending an Inhibitor is just really, really hard to do. But once you get the Inhibitor down, then it's much easier to get Baron because they have to keep someone in the base. If you push up the lane, someone has to deal with those super minions. And so you're almost forcing them to do a 4v5. Or if they try to fight you 5v5 anyways, then that's going to get a tower in their base, the supers. So the Inhibitor creates a lot more map pressure than having Baron. I mean, there's times when I've gotten Baron and several times where you get Baron and your team still loses a team fight. Or you get Baron and someone gets caught out and killed and then everybody wastes the Baron. So just trust me, get the Inhibitors before you go for Baron. Okay, so that's shot calling. And just try to close out games. Don't play around. Do not let that person that's like 20-1 play around. Just say, hey, look, they can still win. Let's go close this game out and figure out how to close the game. Get the Inhibitors, get the towers, finish the game up. Okay. So, and this one's really important. This is something that I've been working on more and more. You need to ping everything on the map. You need to be a mini-map warrior. You need to watch that thing and ping everything. So not just your lane. Don't just ping if your lane's missing. You need to ping if mid lane's missing. You need to ping if top's missing. You need to ping if you saw the jungler over here on a ward. You need to ping that. Just anything and everything you can think of to relay information to help your team make better decisions. You need to ping that. So someone out of position, ping them. That person who's split pushing right here and you know they're going to get caught out and die, ping them 3 times. Tell them to come back. Tell them to come help over here. Incoming gank in another lane. So maybe you're bot lane, but you see, you know, a jungler up here walks on a ward. God, this cat hair. Sorry about that. I think I just held the cat a bit too close to my face and she's like shedding or something. Anyways, you need to ping them back, so don't let them go there. If top lane is, like I said, about to get ganked, question mark it, ping it, back, back, back. You're about to get ganked. Just ping everything that you see out there. So someone out of position, incoming gank in another lane, dragon's up in 30 seconds. Let people know, or a minute. Just say, hey, go back and buy. We need to contest this dragon here in about 30 seconds. Because a lot of people just won't even look. They'll just wait until they see the dragon icon on the minimap, and you need to tell them way beforehand, hey, go buy, help me come prep vision here. Because people just won't think about it. But if you suggest it, then they might actually do it. They might not, but they might actually do it. If your team's trying to do Baron, and your jungler does not have smite, you need to ping that. You need to look at that. Because people won't tell you that. That's another thing that Riot needs to remove, is the buffs on smite. Because it just baits, once again, it noob baits people. People will just use that smite in a fight when they don't need to. So maybe you get into a fight right here in middle lane, and Baron should be an option if you win the fight, and they'll use their chilling smite to slow somebody when they don't need to. And then all of a sudden they don't have smite to do Baron anymore. So you need to look at that. Like, press tab. If someone's calling Baron or someone's calling Dragon, press tab. If they don't have smite, you need to ping people back and say, don't do it. Unless you have perfect vision around there and their jungler's dead and no one's going to steal it with anything, then maybe you can do it. But like 90% of the time, if they don't have smite, just ping it back. Say that sucks. We could have gotten Baron, but, you know, Hecarim decided a chilling smite to slow down that Shaco or something. And so now we lose a Baron because he decided to do that. So make sure you look at that. Make sure you look at TP. Keep track of the TP situation. So if you're top laner does not have TP, and you are about to try to dive, don't dive in solo queue first of all. But if for some reason someone's about to dive and you haven't swept these to make sure there's no teleport wards, and an enemy jungler has teleport, you need to make sure that's going to happen. Or if your team wants to do a dragon and your top laner's up here, doesn't have teleport available, and the other one does, you need to ping the timer on that teleport and then ping people back. If the flash goes down in top lane, so if you're watching your minimap and you see someone flash and nobody calls it on the minimap, you need to call it. Ping the flash. Definitely ping it in your lane, but ping things for other lanes too. If you're watching the minimap, you can just see, like, if it's a Rise or something, and on the minimap he jumps from here to here, that means he just flashed. So watch out for that. If you want to engage a fight, ping it a lot. This is something with Malzahar that's been really tough, is I will use my ult for 2.5 seconds and nobody hits the person that I'm ulting. Or if you are using Redemption, ping that a lot. So if you're about to Malzahar ult somebody, or you're about to Malphite ult them, or Nautilus ult them, or whatever, ping it 3 times. Just let them know you're about to go all in, you're about to fight. So just be very clear about your intentions. Ping, ping, ping. Let them know that you're about to go, so that way they're paying attention. So you have to be a mini-map machine. You really have to look out and, try to make really good pings. Okay. And suggest overpowered champions. So this is something you can do in champ select. So you don't have to say, go play this champion. Play Hecarim, he's overpowered. What are you doing, you idiot? Why are you playing a Mumu? That type of thing, right? Like, you don't have to be aggressive or mean about it, or force people to play champions that they don't know. But you can put the idea in their head, oh yeah, that champion is really overpowered. Maybe I should play that champion. I learned this in a restaurant. And if you've ever done sales of any type, suggestive selling is very powerful. That's why in restaurants, people will say things like, do you want to start off with a Coke product, or do you want to start off with some tea? They don't ask you if you want to start off with water, or they don't say, what do you want to drink? They want you to buy the tea or the Coke or the wine. If it's a nicer restaurant, they'll say, would you care to start off with a glass of our new, Chardonnay, our in-house Chardonnay, or would you like to start off? We have some specials on the draft beer. We've got Yingling here for $2 a glass or something like that. Suggestive selling is very powerful because people don't always know what they want. Sometimes people just kind of go with the flow. There's a lot of people just go with the flow. There's like, you know what? I have to jungle. I'll just go with the Mumu. Whatever. He's all right. He's fun. And they just don't even really think about it. Like, is Amumu good with this composition? Is he good on this patch? Like, why am I picking this champion? They just kind of feel like it. They just do it. So just suggest it to him. Just say things like, hey, my friend just got a pentakill with Vayne. Or Hecarim is so OP this patch. Or a Poppy in my last game went 1v5. I can't believe that champion's that strong. Or thank God Ziggs carried us that game. He is so overpowered bot lane. Like, just say stuff like that, and it puts the idea in their mind, oh yeah, maybe I could pick Hecarim, maybe I could pick Poppy. So you're not directly telling them to pick it, but you're suggesting that they pick it through sort of an anecdote. So just say things like that, or I heard such and such is so powerful on this patch, or whatever. So that way, it doesn't feel like you are taking away their agency. You're not telling them what to pick. You're not, trying to micromanage them, but you are sort of just putting the idea in their mind that maybe they could play those champions. So try to suggest overpowered champions. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it might. If they're indifferent, if they just don't care, if they just want to win games, they might just pick some of those overpowered champions. Because I just remember very clearly one game, some guy asked me straight up at the very beginning, hey, do you want me to play Varus or Twitch? And I said, oh, it's cool, man. Just play whatever you want. I was just, go with the flow. Fine. He picks Varus. It was awful. We got shattered. Varus always loses. I know he's really hot right now in the LCK Korean scene, but he just feels very, very weak in the vast majority of solo queue games that I play. So I should have said Twitch, because Twitch is extremely good in solo queue. He's very, very powerful. And so it was my fault for not directing him, for not suggestively selling him those champions. Okay, another one is trade down your picks. So grab overpowered picks for allies. So if someone wants to play Hecarim and they are like 4th pick in your first pick, pick it up for them. If someone wants to play Vayne or whatever, pick that up for them. Also, if you trade down picks, even if it's not an overpowered pick, let's say someone wants to play Lee Sin, 5th pick or whatever, just go ahead and pick it up for them. That gives you more visibility. So if they have a champion that they just definitely want to play and you want to pick a good champion for your composition, I think that, just getting more strategic information about the team can be very helpful in your choices. And just picking an appropriate champion, just thinking, is this champion actually good into this matchup? And just thinking carefully. So not just, oh, I like to play this champion, this is my favorite champion. Think, is it good into this matchup, and can we actually win with this champion? So, save the fun stuff that you just enjoy playing that maybe doesn't have a very high percentage. Try to save that for normals, and if you really want to win a lot of ranked, then play your serious champion, play what it takes to win the game. Another thing, a final thing here, is keep the mood light in games. I've tried to do this on stream. I've had fun with it. I've just been making up like just stupid memes and stuff, just parroting silly memes in the game, like, yo man, this is dank, or I can't even, like chalky milk, or just some of these other just like ridiculous things. I just blurt that out in chat. Because there was one game where this LeBlanc was raging so hard and she was about to AFK quit. And all of a sudden she's just like, what are you talking about? What is that? And I just like confused them into winning the game. So I just confused them into, they stopped arguing. She stopped arguing with the jungler or whatever she was arguing with. And just ultimately won the game because I was just being so silly, just saying crazy stuff like, we got this, bros. Vape Nation 420, hashtag Fleekwood Mac, just chalky milk, got that chalk on lock, just yelling all this stupid stuff in the game. And it actually just made it really funny for me. I was kind of laughing, having a good time, so I wasn't stressed out that that was going to be my 5th loss in a row if we lost that or whatever. It just made it fun. It made it interesting. It made it lively, and it distracted them long enough to quit arguing with each other and to actually win the game. So just trying to keep the mood light, being encouraging, saying, great job, man, that's awesome, or great, or here we go, guys, comeback time, that type of stuff can really, really be helpful. Just try to be a cheerleader, try to be funny, try to be witty, or, at the very least, just throw out a good job in there every now and then. Okay. So that's my general advice here in terms of how to win in the current, current situation that I outlined earlier. But here are some very specific tips for gold, elo, and lower. So these are things that I've had to adjust to just really try to understand in lower elo, because sometimes it just feels like I'm playing a different game sometimes, and it can just be, it can be frustrating and bewildering, and I'm just like, why is this happening? How did we possibly lose this game? Or like, why is this person doing this? Why is this happening? So number one, be realistic. So this, especially if you've gone from a higher elo, like maybe it's even you've gone from gold into bronze or silver into bronze, be realistic. The correct play, what you think is the correct play, is not always the best play. So, for example, if it's best to go all in level 2 Malzahar, which it is, he has a very powerful all in, but your AD carry just won't press heal at level 2, or they won't go fight with you. They've shown that they don't want to be aggressive, they don't want to fight, they don't know how to trade, then don't do it. Because, they've demonstrated that they don't want to do that because they're not doing it. Also, like, if your jungler misses smite on dragon once or twice, definitely twice, then don't do objectives with that person if the other jungler is alive. I think you should always zone or kill the other jungler before you do any objective. Just do not allow there to be smite fights. But if you do, just know you can't count on that person. Or if someone has left you high and dry and left you to die when you engaged as Thresh or whatever twice, just be realistic. Just say, you know what, this person hasn't followed up my engage twice already, so I'm not going to expect them to do it next time. So just, you have to be realistic, even though it's the correct play in the abstract. Sadie? Thought I heard some weird noise. Sorry about that. But even though it is the correct play in the abstract, it's not the best play given just what's going on in the game, for example. And sometimes if you have a peel champion and your 80 carry bottom is just super underperforming, you might need to use your skills and your peel to work with the jungler or to work with the mid laner or something like that. So anyways, here are some better tips, some things that I've had to learn, ways that you can be more realistic about what's going on in these games and how it's different from kind of the higher elo games that I'm accustomed to. And I'm just describing things like, you know, like mid plat up to low diamond. Low diamond's as high as I've gone. So it gets, I'm sure there's even different stuff once you move up in diamond. But these are just things that are very different that, you know, I don't talk about as much on my guides, and these are just things that I've had to really reconsider and ponder, and I've just kind of come to some revelations lately about how some of this gameplay is a little bit different from what I say in my guides. Although I think a lot of my guides are spot on for like the correct way or better ways to do things. These are ways that you can be realistic about what's going on in lower elo, and you can combine them in many ways with what I talk about in my other guides. Okay. So number one, play champions that punish mispositioning. So that's one thing that I notice a lot playing in these, you know, this low gold, silver elo. What is the cat? Sadie? She's like running around the hallway. I hear her necklace jingling. Play champions that punish mispositioning. So many people will walk up into skill shot range and into engage range, and they are just asking to get hit with either a blitz hook or a Zyra root or whatever. This is why blitz is so good in that elo, is that everyone just is really wide open for hooks or really wide open for plants. And so playing something that really punishes people who step out of position very heavily is a real big deal, because at higher elos, people will play around that. They will be cautious about the hooks. They will know about the Zyra root, and they will be ready to sidestep it, or they'll play around just outside of range of the Zyra root. So that's why Zyra has been very, very strong lately for me playing in this elo, is because you can almost always hit those roots on people in lane. You can get so much damage on them. You can kill people who misposition and get caught out in bushes. I'll talk about bush baiting here in a second, but it's very, very powerful. I mean, this is something I just started playing Zyra again tonight. I hadn't even played her that much. And you can see right here the difference. What the hell? You can see right here the difference. I mean, I went, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 Zyra games, and I think I lost the next 2 after that. But I went like 8-2. With Zyra when I started playing her. I won another one down here. So that's basically 9-2 with Zyra. And as you can see, I'm losing a lot of these other games, because I can't pressure hard enough or punish people for being out of position hard enough. Malzahar, I do like Malzahar a lot, but the truth is, if people don't follow up on your ultimate, then it's no good. This MF game, I just tried her out. It actually was a pretty good, cool game. We were against a Zyra, and I just wanted to try the MF counter to Zyra. And it was a counter in lane, but we got crushed in the other lanes. But anyways, Zyra kills them by herself. She zeroes them out. If they step out of position, you punish them. You murder them. She's very, very good at taking care of business if someone goes out of position. So, I mean, it's shown 9-2 when I've lost almost all my other games. You know, recently, and having a 73% win percentage here, when my next highest is 54, and a lot of these are sub 50. I mean, Zyra is extremely strong right now. And so, yes, in the abstract, what did I just do? What the hell? Sorry, I ended up closing the document there for some reason. Where did it go? Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. I must have pulled that out somehow with my mouse. So even though I think in my initial tier list and in terms of describing itemization and things, the itemization for AP supports is not nearly as good as utility supports. They can't get redemption. They can't get locket. In terms of gold efficiency really doesn't matter if somebody's dead. So even though you aren't as gold efficient, if you just straight up kill somebody and get a 4v5 and just win the game, it doesn't matter how efficient it is. And it's just a lot easier to do that in low elo. Now, Zyra is also good in professional play. So she has awesome, great poke, all-in, team fighting, scaling, but she's very frail, and you need to be very, very careful about your positioning. So you need to make sure that you ward well and position yourself very carefully in team fights. Just watch my Zyra videos if you want to see this. But just know that people will gun for you, and they will kill you very easily if they want to, especially assassins. So you need, if you play Zyra and they have assassins, you need to be very cautious. Other champions that can punish mispositioners like Malzahar, Morg, Blitz, Nautilus, these might all be pretty good here. So for lower elo, I think if you can practice and master Zyra, she's very, very strong because she punishes mispositioning really hard. Okay, other things. Play champions that do not rely on allies. This is so key. Because people ask me, well, why don't you play Thresh is the most popular one, or Bard, that type of stuff. They rely on allies too much. You cannot count on your team to do things. Like, you can't count on them to click the lantern. You can't count on them to stay in your mouth when you're Tahm Kench. You can't count on them to take your magical journey or to follow up when you ult somebody with Bard. You can't count on them to actually play around your Taric ult properly. So this is why I don't play things like Taric, Thresh, and Bard. So when you engage, watch your minimap. And this happens to me more times than I like to admit. But let's say that a really popular one, let's say your mid laner is roaming down here, and you're like, okay, they're about to come bottom. I'm going to start a fight here with Nautilus or whatever. So they get to about right here, and then you start a fight, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, they turn around and walk back up the river, and they never come down there. And you're just like, what just happened? And who knows what went through their mind in some of these places. Maybe they saw the jungler there and decided to leave. Maybe the CS has pushed a tower and they're like, oh no, my tower is going to take too much damage. Maybe they realized their ult was on cooldown. I don't know. So, but you have to watch your minimap, especially when you're engaging. Make sure there's 4 or 5 people there, and make sure they're actually on board with what you're doing, and ping a lot before you engage. So that's just crucial, is don't rely on your allies. Try to play champions that can be really good on their own. This is why tanks are good, is because when you engage with a tank, usually you can take a few hits for a couple of seconds and not die while your allies get it together and actually follow up on your engage. So just try to play champions that can be very strong even if your allies are underperforming. So they have either really high damage, really good scaling, really good roaming, just something. So still make sure that you give kills, still peel for the ADC, still group up, but, don't have that 1v1 mentality, but just have the mentality that just says, you know what? There's a decent probability that at least 1 or 2 people are going to underperform this game, and I need to be able to pick up the slack and do something very powerful on my own. So that's crucial right now, especially given the context of the autofill and the popularization of 1v1 culture and the shift to dynamic queue, all that stuff I mentioned earlier. It's really important that you can really pull a lot of weight and not rely too heavily on your allies. So the Janna, I do love Janna, and she can be very powerful if you have Vayne or Twitch, but you need to probably do that if you have a duo queue that you can count on, who's going to be solid. Okay. Play champions with AP damage. So, as I just mentioned a little bit ago, in my itemization video and in my 7.1 patch notes video, I really was steering people away from AP supports a lot because Redemption and Locket are just so powerful in the abstract, and I just thought the itemization for AP supports is just not that good. But the truth is, in a lot of games, you either need more damage or you need more magic damage specifically. So you have to be ready if you're playing in gold or lower for those Mumu, Scion compositions. So people, in other words, that play these tanks that just don't have damage. So they'll play a Mumu or Scion or Hecarim, or not Hecarim. Hecarim has a lot of damage. Or Sejuani, or I'm trying to think of all these other popular champions. Just Malphite. Just champions that just don't... Ezreal, Varus, things like that. You have to be able to make up for... If if your team just doesn't have damage on it. So having that extra damage is nice. Or if your team has all AP, or all AD rather, you know, there are a lot of very popular champions that are AD damage. So if you have a Yasuo middle and a Riven top, and you've got a Hecarim jungle, you need to have some kind of magic damage on your team, or they're just going to stack armor. So there's just so many times where people just won't even think about this, and they'll get all AD champions. Or they'll get at least 3 heavily AD champions. So you need to have some more magic on your team to balance it out. So I highly recommend knowing at least 1 or 2 magic damage champions just to balance out the AD teams, or to have some more damage if you have a really low damage comp. So I recommend Zyra first and foremost, and then Malzahar as well. Okay, and this 4th one here has actually taken me some time to really like soak in and embrace. And I still don't embrace it. I guess that's a bad word, but to just accept, I guess. Just it kind of feels like I'm defeated to accept this, but we'll move it down here. Roam less, dominate the lane more. So you all know, if you watch any of my videos, I talk a lot about how important roaming is. So being able to roam from bottom lane up to mid lane in order to ward, in order to make plays, to try to kill the middle, to get some good deep wards in the jungle. You know, all of these things are good, but you cannot do that as much in gold elo. It's not worth it. I've come to the conclusion that it's not worth it, and that's really sad, because that's something that really distinguishes people in probably, well, at all elos, it distinguishes people. Like the good supports from just the kind of whatever okay supports is their ability to roam. But the problem is, until you start getting at least to mid-plat or higher, AD carries, a lot of AD carries don't understand the merits of roaming. They don't get it. Whenever you try to roam as a support, they will just think, oh, my support's abandoning me. Why is it 1v2 bottom? And they'll get caught out and they'll die, and they'll say, stupid support's not here. They engaged and killed me. You know, all of that kind of stuff. It just destroys the psychology of the bot lane, and they don't understand why you're doing it or what the advantage of it is. So you can still look to roam some, but you've got to just do it a lot less, because it's not worth it. It's just not. You can't. The AD carry is not going to back up unless, once again, you have a dual AD carry, which is another advantage of a dual AD carry, is that you can explain these things to them. You should duo as much as possible if you want to gain a lot of elo. Let's just say that right off the bat. But yeah, players under Diamond just don't understand roaming supports, and they die 1v2 in lane, usually within 30 seconds if you leave the lane. So you have to leave, even if you're just roaming, even if you're not warding. Like, how many times have you played support where you walk up here, you know, ward dragon, and before you can even walk back, that Leona engages on your AD carry, and they kill him. And you weren't even gone 10 seconds. So you just have to know, whenever you leave lane, most bottom lanes will be looking to punish your AD carry. They will run up, they will try to kill him, they will try to get pressure on him, all that stuff. So you need to ping him back if you're going to go roam. So just ping back twice, and then ping where you're going, and then ping your sight stone. Just to let them know, like, oh, he's going to roam and ward. Or just ping middle, ping back a lot. Like, ping back 3 times if there's like a fight breaking out middle, and they start rotating and taking in a river. Ping back 3 times, and then ping over here 3 times. And at the least, they'll probably back up, hopefully. Or they might, if you're lucky enough, they might actually follow you on the roam and try to make a pick as well. But you really have to dial it back, because most people will not back up. They don't understand that they're not really going to miss anything if you roam. So what'll happen, basically, and Diamond people understand this a lot of the time. If you go roam middle, let's say you're trying to get a kill middle, or you're trying to ward or whatever, they'll back up to about like right here and just kind of long range hit stuff. The enemy team will push into you. They almost always, 99% of the time, they will push the wave into your tower. So you're not going to miss that much CS. They're not going to zone you. They're not just going to sit there and make you miss all that CS the vast majority of the time. They will push it into your tower. So you're not really missing that much. You might miss 3 CS. In order to go middle and get a flash, or in order to go middle and get a kill. but you can't explain that to a lot of people in solo queue. So it's the correct play a lot of times to roam and try to make a play if you see an opportunity. So let's say Brand has the mid laner pushed up to right here, and he doesn't have flash because the jungler just pinged it a second ago after the jungler ganked. You could very easily sweep around and get behind him. That's a good opportunity. But you need to be very careful and measured with your roaming, because I've just come to the conclusion it's just not worth it as much, because it just destroys the psychology of AD carry. I've had people just rage out of the game. I just roamed once, tried to make a play mid lane. They get caught, killed, say GG, stupid support, and then just such and such has left the game. So it's just, people just don't understand it, and it's just really tough to do in lower elos. So don't roam nearly as much as I usually recommend in my videos until you get to at least platinum. Okay, finally, pick lane dominant champions, so things that can fight pretty well 2v2, and use wards in your own lane bushes to force unfavorable trades for your enemies. So this means you're not going to have as much vision around the map. So if you only have one pink and you're the only one buying it, you may not be able to pink this bush anymore. Like, you can, but you need to pink these bushes. Like, if you keep pushing into their lane, you need to pink this bush right here and force them to fight you over that pink. Now, they might get it, but a lot of times in lower elo, they're so like dead set on trying to get that control ward, or the pink, as I call it. Well, it used to be pink ward. They're so dead set on trying to kill it that they'll take 80% of their health to do it. Like that happened earlier in a game with Zyra. Like this guy tried to come up, I think it was a Thresh or something, and clear this control ward. I hit him with the roots, double planted him, took off 80% of his health. Well, they eventually did get the control ward, and they pushed up into our territory, but because the Thresh was at 20% health, Hecarim just came running up, flanked him, killed him. So just keep wards in this bush. Clearing out the wards in these bushes also prevents teleports from coming in very popular spots. So, and it allows for lane ganks. So people don't expect that as much. Like, they'll have it warded out here, but if you have this pink warded the whole time and you keep great control of it, then the jungler can slip in, into the brush and then eventually just jump out and kill them that way. So the lane ganks, in many ways, are easier to pull off than the river ganks. Because if you have this pinked, that's just one place they could possibly have warded. But like here with the river, even if you pink right here to keep this clear, they might ward up here to get you. So, or they might even ward deep in here if they've got you pushed in all the time. So just ward your own bushes, establish lane dominance, and really try to pressure the enemy lane as much as you possibly can without getting caught to ganks. That's the key part, is you want to pressure, you want to deny CS, you want to put damage on them, but you can't get ganked. So even if you don't get kills, even if you remain about even on CS, this at the very least keeps the psychology and the morale of your AD carry high. And in many ways, that's one of the most important things in the game, is to keep your AD carry happy. So don't roam nearly as much as I recommend in a lot of those videos until you start getting to platinum, where people will understand it. Unless you have a duo queue that knows, hey, this is how roaming support works, that type of thing. Okay, and this is the final thing I'm going to talk about. Dang it, I thought I'd do this one in under an hour, but these always end up taking longer than an hour. And this is some real juicy stuff here. So, players in gold and lower do not respect darkness. So you need to master the vision and bait minigame. Alright? So you need to buy a lot of control wards. Like a lot of control wards. I almost always leave the base with at least one, and often I'll have 2 or 3. And the reason for this is you need to use control wards like an extra sweeper. You need to make sure you have vision in an area. So let's say that you use your sweeper, like you're trying to get over here, you're trying to secure Baron, you're coming up right here. Use your sweeper, you sweep this, 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 and this. You've got all that cleared, but now you need to make sure that this bush and this bush is cleared. So you can drop a pink here, a control ward here, clear out if there's a ward right there, and then you can drop a control ward here and clear it out right there. So it's like you're buying an extra sweeper, an extra chance for a sweep for 75 gold to sweep a bush per. However, if you kill a ward, that's you get 30 gold back for it. So really it's only 45 if you do that. So yes, it does cost you money, but it helps you shut out vision so much more. And shutting out vision is huge. I mean, how scary is it if you're on the red side here and you have no vision of anything in your red jungle or around Baron, how scary is that? It's extremely scary because they could be anywhere. They could be here. They could be there, there, hiding over this ledge, hiding in this bush, hiding in that bush. I mean, there's so many different places they could be. And so you want to keep them in the dark as much as possible. So buy a lot of control wards, place them, use your sweeper a lot, just really, really take control of an area. And ping teammates to help you. Say, hey, come help me gain control of this area. Don't just go in here by yourself, but like ping your allies, bring 3 people or so, 3, 4, 5, everybody. Bring them in here, clear this out, and then just sit in one of these bushes and bait. And I'll talk more about that here in a second. But use your allies to help you with vision. Don't just go out there by yourself in a very dangerous area and try to get vision alone. Okay, so how it works, sort of the secure vision and bait that I just talked about. Let's say that you're on red side and you're going against blue side. Well, you need to sweep out vision here, like everywhere in here. It doesn't matter if it's right there. Just sweep it right here. They only have so many blue trinkets, so if they happen to have a blue trinket, they might trinket you around here. You just kill it, and then eventually they have to come look. So you ward right here, so that you have vision over this ledge. You ward right here, so that you have vision of this walkway. And you have a couple of options. Either you can sit in this bush and grab them as they come right through here with some skill shots, just death bush them right here. Or you can sit right here, death bush them there. Or you can sit right here and death bush them. Hi. My cat's looking very frisky on the floor there. But yeah, you just knock out vision and just hide on one of these walls and then kill them. If you're over here and you want a death bush, just ward right here. Here, and then usually stand here, somewhere around here. Now sometimes they'll get cute. You can ward right here too. Sometimes they'll get cute and it'll throw like a skill shot in this bush to see if you're there. So you could actually stand right here. And then if you have, you know, vision, then when they throw their little skill shot or whatever, their little Ziggs bomb or whatever to check this bush, you stand right here and then you can wrap around once they walk up to here and grab them out of the bush. So this happened a couple of games ago where we had a ward here. They had no vision. The Thresh tried to come up, ward this, boom, caught him right here, killed him. Happened again, boom, kill him. And then once you kill somebody right there, you don't even have to do the Baron. You just kill him and go get a tower if you want to, even if it's just one person. So just keep in mind, you don't actually have to do, especially Baron. You can just use him as a tool to force the enemy out of their base to come kill you. If you're against an Anivia or a Ziggs or just something else that's really annoying where there's no way you're going to push through them, then just force them to come out of their base and pick them off in the jungle. And you don't even have to do Baron. Just get a kill every time and then go get another objective. Eventually you can do Baron if you want, but you never even have to do it. You can just bait them if you want. So that's the easiest way to bait. Other good places for baiting, especially with Zyra, let me go ahead and pull this out a little bit here, are these river bush areas. These have become like my new favorite places to kill people. So what you do is you just get a pink in one of these bushes. You, of course, have swept all of this, so you make sure there's no wards in here. You get a pink in this bush, and you ward over here, right here. And a lot of times you can ward here and here, and then you get good vision of this area. And if you're really on top of it, you can put a ward here. So you put like a green ward here, like a green ward like right here maybe, your third one right here, and then you pink this bush. You set it up with Zyra, and then eventually you've got your mid laners just here fighting. You know, the support or the jungler or somebody's going to come walking through here, just boom, hit them over this wall, kill them. You can even bring a friend in, bring the jungler to sit right here. Boom, kill them. Mid laner tries to move up, get frisky, boom, kill them. So you can just sit right here and chill. And if nothing happens, you're still getting experience from mid lane because the minions are going to be close enough where you get the experience right here. So this is really a very, very good camping spot. Or you can do it on the opposite side of the river. If they're kind of onto it, like they know you might be here, you can do it over here. And even with Zyra, you can kill people past these fat walls too. So if they're walking really close to this wall and you have a ward right here, and you're on this side, you pink the bush, you can throw your roots over this wall, double snare them, and then ult them. And for some, especially like squishy supports, you can kill them over this wall. with Blitz or something, you can hook them, or with Thresh, you can hook them in these situations as well. But this is really good. You just gain vision of the whole area and then kill them when they walk along these pathways, which are very, very common ways that people walk. Okay, so some more advanced techniques, and this will be the final thing for baiting. This is how you become a master baiter. Pun not really intended, but whatever, we'll take it. Okay, so I call this one the fake DC. So there, a lot of people know about this, but it's pretty common as well. Just stand perfectly still. This worked in some of my games, especially if they have like a hook champion or something like that. I was sitting right here. I walked out of this bush as Zyra. I stood right here and just didn't move for like 20 seconds. And we had a Graves sitting right here in this bush we knew wasn't warded. And there was a Blitzcrank right here. And then I don't remember the other two champions, but I just stood right here acting like I was DC. The Blitzcrank like waited 15 to 20 seconds. He's like, what the heck? And then he finally pulled me in. I exhausted their 80 carry. I was Zyra. Full comboed him. And then Graves came over and blew him up out of the edge. And I think we got Blitzcrank too. So you can just act like you're DC. You just stand there. And eventually they might try to engage on you. Now, some people will see that if you stand perfectly still, it looks very suspicious at higher elos. But at lower elos, a lot of times they'll be like, oh man, they must have DC'd, I'll just go kill them. So that's a possibility that you can do if you think you're not going to die in the process. The pink clear, I call this. This is a traditional, try to bait them into clearing a pink ward. So for example, you could drop a pink right here, clear the control ward, and then have a jungler sitting right here. And if you're the support, just walk in plain view over here, acting like you're going to leave the lane to go ward something else, and then as soon as they try to come in and clear that ward, then the jungler jumps out, kills him. Boom. Or an even more common one is this tri-bush right here is the tri-bush of doom. So you can ward over this wall, if possible. Make sure no one's coming down here. And then, you know, if you're on red side here, have your jungler wait right here. Make sure you've secured this area, obviously. Clear out all the vision. Have your jungler wait right here. Go up. Drop a green ward. Start clearing this pink ward. And then just start a fight here and have your jungler come in and gank them when they're trying to fight you. That's a real easy way to do it. Or, you know, if you're on blue side, have a pink ward here. When they drop their green ward in here, or when you know they're going to be coming up to try to clear your ward, then have the jungler come up and kill him here. So this is a very hot spot of contention. You can have a jungler hide here, 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 like just all kinds of places around here, and just bait them with the pink. And there's a lot of places you can kind of do that. Anywhere where you think they're going to clear a pink ward, then they can do it. So another variation of this is something that I have tried that's I think is pretty funny. You can do it sometimes. I call this the oops pink ward. So you can actually drop a pink ward in just a really weird spot that's wide out in the open, and you can bait people into killing with it. So a really funny thing to do is, like around here, let's say you're Baron baiting, and you know you've already got all this vision here, and because you're a good support, you brought 3 control wards with you when you're preparing for Baron. So you swept all of this, that's all good. Use a pink ward, cleared that out. Use a pink ward here, cleared that out. Now with your final pink ward, drop it like right next to the bush. Just like right next to it. Just like, oops, I accidentally like missed the bush with my pink ward. And then someone will come walking in and they'll be like, oh, what the heck? This person is an idiot. They missed the bush with their pink ward. And they'll come over and try to clear it, and then you kill them. You don't even have to do that when you're baiting for Baron. You can do that anywhere with the oops pink ward. You can drop one over this wall. So if you aren't sure if anyone's going to come walking over here to clear this, drop a pink ward here. They'll come up and try to clear it. I'll guarantee you. Or it's just right here. Just drop a pink ward. Drop a pink ward right here in mid lane when they're not there anymore. Just say, oops, drop a pink ward. And then just sit right here. And then when they go up to try to clear it, just engage on them and kill them. Or right here. Like, just drop a pink ward in a really weird, conspicuous spot where they're going to see it. And then just hide out in a bush that you know is clear. And when they come up to try to clean it, then just kill them. Or drop it like right here or something. If you're trying to prepare for dragon, drop a pink ward right here. So I just called that the oops pink ward bait, which is hilarious. People see pink wards and they just want to go kill them. So just drop a pink ward there and then kill them. Or like if you're blitzcrank, drop a pink ward here and then hide in this bush. And when they come to try to clear it, just hook them over this wall. It's hilarious. People will just go clear pink wards. Drop it in the middle of the lane, anywhere you want. Drop a pink ward where you want to start a fight, and people will come clear it, and you can kill them. Okay, the barren ledges I already talked about. So it's basically when you secure all of this vision, one of the best places to hide is like right along this area. Because if they blue ward barren, you can just have one person go kill it, and if it's a support, they'll think, okay, well maybe people aren't there. But sometimes people will throw skill shots here to check this bush. This is like a really common death bush. Like you can get people out of this when they're walking up this lane. But a lot of kind of more savvy players, and even in lower elo, people do this. They'll try to walk this way. And then the place where they think they're safe is to walk up to right here and ward over this. To just at least see if people are in the area. And that's when you get them. Is when they're right here. You just hit them with the Zyra Roots or the Blitz Hook or whatever. And pull them out. So you can try to wait here if you want, but once again, if they walk this way, which a lot of people will, you'll kill them. You can also wait here if you want, but once again, if they walk this way, you won't get them. So this is kind of the easiest place to get people. And you can always, if you see them start walking up this way, like you can put a ward here if you want. If you see them walking up, then you can rotate from here and pick them off there. So this is really the best place. Over here, just getting in their jungle is the best place usually, so waiting like here, 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 something like that. This is a really good one. Like I said, like right here is probably the best place. You sweep all this out, you put wards here and here, then you wait here, and then they'll do some kind of something to check this bush probably, and then you just wrap around after they use their ability. No one's in there, then you wrap around and go kill them. Okay, and the buff trap. So you can do this a lot in the game. So keep in mind, you don't necessarily it's okay to steal an enemy buff. It's better to kill the enemy and then take their buff. So if you're trying to prepare for a buff with your jungler, let's say their blue is about to spawn, don't kill the blue just yet. Ward over this wall. Hang out in this bush, and as soon as someone tries to come kill or get this blue, then you kill them, and then you get their buff, and then you'll get a tower or something else. Like, don't just take the buff and leave. Wait for the person. They will come. People love their buffs. There's such noob traps that they will come and do anything for those buffs. So just make sure that you kill them. Or like right here, for example, this happened in the Zyra game that I played earlier. Someone wanted to do this red buff. I said, wait, like right here, and just pinged help, warded everything. Here comes Vi, uses her one escape, her Q to start a fight with the red buff, and then boom, I engage, we kill her. And then other people try to come in and help her, we kill them too. So just use the buffs as bait. Don't just take the buffs, actually just wait. Just have them sitting there. Because it's going to look suspicious too. Like let's say we're sitting in this bush and the jungler just decided, okay, let's get red buff and then sit in the bush. Well, then they're going to see red buff's gone, so the bells are going to start going off in their head. Oh my god, the jungler might be here. I need to leave because my red buff's gone. So that's why if they don't see anybody, if they see the red buff, then they're just going to assume nobody's there, or they would have taken the red buff. So they get this false sense of security that you can lull them into. So just try to use those buffs, not just for the buff itself, because the buff really doesn't matter usually, but for the kill. Get the kill, and then get the buff, and then go get a dragon or a tower or something else. So, anyways, and the part of this that I really want to emphasize as well, don't fight fair fights. Fight unfair fights. Catch people out, kill people. This helps it just helps compensate for people who underperform. So, if you have a Gangplank top lane that goes 0-4 in lane, and they have a Poppy that's 4-0, Poppy's kind of a bad example because she's ridiculous, but they have a Riven that's 4-0 or something like that. If you can just catch and kill people, and then all of a sudden all of your fights are 4v5 or 5v4 fights rather, because you've killed somebody, then that more than makes up for the fact that you have 1 or 2 feeders on your team because you're fighting uneven fights. And so, or you just have that one person that can never hit skill shots. Well, no problem, because there's 3 other people hiding in this bush to hit a skill shot. So it just really helps overcome people that are underperforming in a game for whatever reason, is to just have superior numbers. Just strength by superior tactics. That's the name of the game. So even if you do have people that are underperforming, got auto-filled, are really tired, whatever the case is, you can still win games by fighting uneven fights, by using these baiting techniques that I just talked about. So anyways, thank you very much. This video's always longer than I expect it to be, but hopefully it was very informative and helpful for you. I just wanted to share a little bit, like I said, about my reflections on why I've been struggling a little bit in Season 7 and trying to translate those into things that hopefully you can understand, you can relate with, and then try to form some actionable solutions, like things you can do with these problems in Season 7 if you're also having kind of a hard time climbing, or even if you're kind of where you were last season. I think these tips are really good, especially these lower elo tips. For helping people to climb, because a lot of people always ask me, well, how can I climb a lower elo? Can you do it as support? It's different, you know, in silver than in diamond. And I was like, oh, whatever, it's kind of the same. This season it's very different. Like I said, in seasons past, I have done it with Janna and, you know, company and more of these classical utility support type of things. But because of all these reasons, I think that, you know, just playing an AP support like Zyra or Malzahar just might be the best ticket there in the current moment. I do think that Nautilus is still really good, but my opinion has, after spending more time playing in gold and silver games, after my MMR has just been tanked, I've really come to the conclusion that these are things that, you know, we need to be doing more, and I think Zyra excels at doing these things, and so right now she's my #1 pick for low elo. Okay, well, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment if you know, want me to talk about anything else. Let me show you the channel here really quick. If you're brand new, I have a lot of guides like this on the channel. Let me go to dashboard here. I have a lot of guides on the channel. You can find those right here on the main channel. So we have the tier list and patch analysis. I mean, some of this changes too, right? So the tier list I did before I actually played Season 7. So for example, in that tier list video, I thought that Poppy was just going to be really bad after some of the nerfs to her, but she still is extremely overpowered. So I'm wrong about some of the stuff, but a lot of the stuff I think I'm pretty spot on with. And just like this video, in the description, you can see a lot of just different timestamps to help you find the content that you want to find. All of them have Google Docs as well. You can see all of my past stream content right here. And then if you want to watch champion playlists, like you really like my Zyra idea, you want to know how to play some more Zyra, you can click on that. Takes you to my newest Zyra game, works its way back to the oldest, and then I tell you my runes in the description of the game as well. So I try to make it where if you want to binge a specific champion and try to learn them, and it's someone that I've played on the channel quite a bit. I mean, I have like 61 Janna videos and 55 Tom Kench videos, 32 Nautilus. I'm going to be adding more to a lot of these. So check it out. A lot of good stuff. If you're interested in Total War Warhammer, I have that too. Legendary campaigns, no auto-resolve abuse. Those are a great time. And I eventually want to do some more XCOM 2 and Civ 6. I've played those a little bit, but I just haven't had time because I've been going really hard on the League stuff lately to get more into those. But I will do some more of those games on a smaller scale as well. It's still going to be primarily a League channel, but you know, I do want to cover some other strategy games as well. Okay, that's going to be it. Thank you very much. I hope this helps, and let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful evening.